On a planet where every 48 hours is a day and night each, where temperatures soar to 430 degrees Celsius and plummet to minus 180 degrees Celsius. There's an unusual phenomenon. Metallic rain falls, but not in the form of rain. It's ejected from the planet into space. It speeds up to 25 kilometers per second. That's over 90,000 kilometers per hour. But how does this happen? Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system, and it's also the closest to the Sun. So why doesn't it get hotter than Venus, which is further away? Scientists think that part of the reason for this is Mercury's thin atmosphere. And if it has one, then what are these metal showers? Is it volcanic activity or some kind of geyser? In this video, we'll unlock Mercury's secrets. What metals fall from its surface into outer space? Why does this happen, and how do scientists know about it? How does Mercury influence Earth? And what's new in the study of this mysterious planet? In order to understand what's happening on Mercury, let's start with the fact that the planet doesn't have a global magnetic field like Earth's. There is an induced magnetic field on Mercury. It's formed under the influence of the solar wind. The Sun constantly ejects charged particles into space, and when they hit Mercury, electric currents are induced inside the planet. This causes the planet to behave like a huge dynamo and creates an induced magnetic field. Its footprint is visible from Earth as a dark spot on Mercury's disk. It looks like the planet is slightly concave. The lack of its own magnetic field means that the solar wind freely penetrates Mercury's atmosphere and hits its surface. And here's the catch. If it's so close to the Sun, shouldn't Mercury be the hottest planet in the solar system? It's actually the second hottest after Venus, although Mercury is closer to the Sun. Its temperature is only about 600 degrees Celsius. For comparison, Venus is almost 370 degrees Celsius. Why, it's all about the atmosphere. Mercury doesn't have a substantial atmosphere. It's very thin, so the heat from the Sun quickly dissipates into space. At the same time, without an atmosphere, Mercury can't retain water on its surface, so it has no oceans to reflect the Sun's rays. Without an atmosphere, Mercury experiences extreme temperature swings. During the day, temperatures reach 430 degrees Celsius. At night, they drop to minus 180 degrees Celsius. Such a sharp drop causes various processes on the planet's surface. To understand what these processes are, let's take a look at the composition of Mercury. It consists mainly of iron, nickel, and sulfur. Iron is usually found in Earth's core, but on Mercury, it's part of the planet's mantle. Also, unlike Earth, Mercury has no clear boundary between the mantle and the core. These factors may be due to giant impacts that Mercury experienced in the early stages of its formation. Mercury could have been attacked by a large space object, and as a result, its mantle could have partially melted. Subsequently, heavy elements like iron and nickel sank deeper into the planet. But let's return to the temperature difference. When the Sun is shining brightly, the iron on the surface heats up and expands. It tries to escape through the pores of the crust, much like how gas escapes from a balloon. However, as soon as the Sun sets, the iron quickly cools down and contracts. Due to the large temperature differences, this process causes the iron to repeatedly expand and contract, creating cracks in the crust. Through these cracks, the iron reaches the surface and spreads across it like rain. This metallic rain evaporates quickly in the rarefied atmosphere and turns into metal ions. They form a thin layer of haze above the planet's surface. This is visible from Earth as a dark spot, the opposite of the one formed by the solar wind. This dark spot can be seen during the day when Mercury is fully illuminated by the Sun. Some metal ions then make their way into space and form Mercury's extremely thin exosphere. Scientists have known about this since 1998, when Mariner 10 discovered a sodium atmosphere on the planet. Since then, other space probes have detected other metals in Mercury's atmosphere, including potassium, sodium, and even calcium. This means that Mercury constantly loses mass, and the process is accelerating. Every year, millions of tons of metal evaporate from Mercury's surface. Scientists believe that due to this intense evaporation, Mercury is losing about 13 kilometers per hour. Eventually, Mercury will completely evaporate. Of course, this will happen in billions of years. It seems that Mercury is doomed to an early demise, but our planet isn't safe either. Comets often crash into Mercury and bombard Earth with debris. It can even happen quite unexpectedly. For example, the first fragments of comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 fell to Earth back in 2013. Fragments of this comet were found in the Atlantic Ocean and on the islands of Hawaii, Spain, and the UK. In total, more than 100 kilograms of the comet were collected. Fragments of this comet are still falling to Earth. And although Mercury's influence on our planet is often overshadowed by the more massive Venus and the colossal Jupiter, Mercury still has a profound impact on Earth. One example is the unusual perihelion of Mercury, which puzzled astronomers for centuries. Astronomers noticed that Mercury's orbit was not as ellipse-shaped as Kepler predicted. In reality, the planet's trajectory had a slight kink near the Sun. This anomaly prompted scientists to search for a planet beyond Neptune, assuming that its gravity was affecting Mercury. But it wasn't until Einstein developed his theory of general relativity that the mystery was solved. It turned out that the unusual orbit of Mercury is explained by the curvature of space around the Sun. Modern studies are shedding new light on Mercury's unique features. For example, scientists have recently discovered that our planet's gravity affects Mercury more strongly than expected. As a result, Mercury's orbit is shifted relative to the Sun by about 46 arcseconds per century. This effect can be clearly seen in the data provided by the BepiColombo probe. The probe has been observing Mercury since 2018. Initially, scientists thought that Mercury's orbit might be affected by a cloud of dust and gas near the Sun called the heliosphere. However, the probe's observations suggest otherwise. Now, researchers are considering the possibility that an unknown planet several times heavier than Earth is orbiting the Sun. Currently, the idea is just a hypothesis. To confirm it, scientists need additional observations and more precise measurements of Mercury's orbit. Additionally, researchers are currently analyzing the chemical composition of the soil on Mercury. It's possible that the samples brought by the probe contain organic matter, which would be a major breakthrough in astronomy. See, to study Mercury, NASA had to land a probe on it, which successfully touched the planet's surface on April 29, 2025. After separating from the probe, the descent stage crashed into Mercury at an incredible speed of 55 kilometers per second. The impact sent thousands of fragments onto the surface. Perhaps in a few decades, we'll receive images of the area where the probe landed, and perhaps even find the remnants of the probe itself. In addition to studying Mercury, the BepiColombo probe is also tasked with exploring other planets in the solar system. For example, it took beautiful pictures of Venus. It did this in July 2021. When the probe performed its second flyby of Venus on its way to Mercury, the third flyby of Venus occurred in 2022 and was the last one. After that, the probe began orbiting Mercury. Now, let's take a look at some interesting facts about Mercury. The planet is named after the Roman messenger of the gods. Interestingly, all the planets in the solar system are named after Roman gods, except for Uranus and Neptune. They were discovered long after the Roman Empire fell, and by then, the planet names were already well established. So the discoverers named them after the gods of Greek mythology. Mercury rotates on its axis, 59 times slower than Earth. A day on Mercury lasts 59 Earth days. At the same time, a year on Mercury lasts only 88 Earth days. That's the shortest year among all the planets in the solar system. Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system. It's even smaller than Earth's moon. Mercury is so small that it fits entirely within the borders of the U.S. state of Texas. If you want to learn more about the most recent discoveries regarding Mercury, check out the related videos. See you later.